It's all getting very close at the top of the table. Manchester City, who have 2 games in hand over Arsenal, looking to close that gap to 6 points when they play Chelsea on Super Sunday tomorrow. But for Liverpool, this result means that they have now gone 4 points clear of Chelsea, who they play, of course, at Manchester City tomorrow. And they are looking, Liverpool now, hoping to strengthen that position in the top 5.
Anna, better, happier? That was a big win.
Yeah. Of course, you're happier than after losing 4-0 and losing 2-0. So yeah, I think good first half. We were already close a few times. Couldn't convert one of the chances, and then Rio had a great moment. Just before that, I felt that Fulham got a bit more into the game, so it was really helpful that Rio had a great 1v1 moment, scored a great goal. And afterwards Mo finished off really well there. Then you're quite comfortable, not completely, but quite comfortable at halftime.
Rio's goal, it was the step over the check back. It was an incredible goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of his strengths, of course, dominating the 1v1. And I think we've seen this season that he gets more and more playing time. And that's also what he deserves, because every time when he plays, he does really well. And he's influencing the game like he did today, like he did against Wolves. And today he even scored a goal, which is vital in football, because goals matter a lot.
And as you say, Mo still showing what he can do as well. It's the lift you needed, though. I imagine that dressing room is a good place to be right now.
It's a better place than it was 2 or 3 days ago or a week ago, but it's also not that after we win, then all of a sudden everything is good again. So we know there's still a lot to play for us.
It's the lift it gives the team, though.
No, that's for sure. Of course, everybody can understand after 2 of these losses, once with 4-0 and the 2-0 was felt more than 2-0. I think we all know why. And then to come out today and beat Fulham after only 2 days of rest, that shows the mentality of the team. I think the same mentality they showed 2 days ago in Paris, although we had a very tough time, but we did show mentality, and we showed that again today, and this time it resulted in a win.
And that's the test you were looking for. You talked about it being a test, this game, to see how you respond, how everybody responds, and that performance just sort of reminded what Liverpool can do.
Yeah, definitely. But I think we've played many games like this season, but unfortunately that not always led to a win. So
or a clean sheet.
Or a clean sheet. Yeah, I think we've deserved to win, but it wasn't that it was by big margins. It wasn't as if we completely dominated the game and overplayed them, as it happened against us 2 days ago. But we deserve to win, but we've played many of these games where then a deflected shot or a set piece led to us conceding, and it ended up in a draw or a loss. So this game I saw today, I saw us playing a lot. But now maybe, I wouldn't say luck, but at last doing justice to how the game went.
So what do you do now? What do you say? What's the message now going into the game on Tuesday night?
Now, first of all, I was really happy with the clean sheet because that's what you actually need almost in every game. But definitely we need that on Tuesday, and I think it was a good first step going into a massive week, because it's not only PSG, it's also Everton in the weekend. So this is a good start of the week, and but unfortunately we were so lucky that we play Wednesday, Tuesday. So that means 3 games in 6 days. So there are only 2 days of rest. So I also told them how important recovery is, because they've experienced even more than I did, because I was looking at it, how intense the game was in Paris. And the game will not be less intense in 2 days, because the fans will be behind us and the players will give everything they have to turn things around. And therefore you need to be top fit, which is not easy if you play 3 games in 6 days. But I can tell you we are up for it, we're ready for it. And Anfield will be ready for it, as I noticed today as well.
Very quick word on Curtis. Do you know what the injury was that forced him off in the game?
Yeah, he felt a little bit, I think it's groin, you say it over here. So it wasn't the moment, he felt it already for a few minutes. So let's hope for the best, but I would be surprised if a player comes off that he's available for Tuesday. But I would almost say welcome to our season. So every time after a win or after something good happens, there's always an injury following it up. But it's a win, and that's where we should be really happy about.
You go again on Tuesday. Good luck in that. Thank you.
We do. Thank you.
Job done against Fulham, and then Liverpool go again. Arne Slot already looking ahead to a big match against PSG on Tuesday at Anfield, and then the Merseyside derby to come on the weekend as well. Big games coming up for Liverpool. That shows you how crucial this game was. It also shows you how little rest there is between all of it.
Yes, as he said, the fact that you play PSG twice and Fulham in 6 days, because it was Wednesday and then they're playing them on Tuesday. PSG have their game cancelled this weekend against Lens, a big game, and but they've cancelled it to give them a bit of rest. So it shows you what exertions you have to put up with in the Premier League. They're very difficult. The PSG game takes care of itself, and then you've got a small matter of the Merseyside derby where they play Everton. Navigate that. Crystal Palace should be easy. Man United will be really easy at Old Trafford. They normally always beat them. And then Chelsea. I was waiting for that.
From me or from Owen?
I thought it would be him. It was you. No, but then of course you can see how difficult the games have got. They don't stop. They don't stop every 3 days. You're just churning out. And this, we're not even talking about if they go and beat PSG. Then they'll have the semi-final to contain, at the end of April as well. So the games never stop. That's why we love the Premier League. That's why, everybody can beat each other, because every couple of days you've got a new game, a new opposition who've had more rest than you. But that is what you have to be able to do if you're the best teams. It's as simple as that. I
haven't even mentioned Chelsea and Aston Villa, which will be straight shootouts for the Champions League places. It's very, very tough for Liverpool, considering that they also just played PSG. They played Man City before that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the fixtures are not very friendly, not going to lie. But actually, Chelsea have it worse. Chelsea have really, really difficult fixtures. So, but again, you're champions. You're meant to be consistent, and they haven't been consistent this season. They haven't scored as much. They haven't defended as well. And I think there's a lot to take from this season. Not only, I think, for the manager, but also for the players. Recruitment-wise, they're going to have to try and address it this summer. It's going to be a huge summer for Liverpool, losing Robertson and Salah. The imbalance, out of possession, they really struggle about pressing teams. But if they can find a way to finish fifth, imagine if they get an early goal against PSG.
Yeah, you never know.
It'll be game on. And also, one of the hardest places to play.
The one thing you would say is that Aston Villa and Crystal Palace, who they're going to face, look as if they're going to progress in their European competitions. So those particular games might have different meaning at that time. And you never know how Liverpool will get on against PSG. If they do get knocked out, they'll have more rest when they face the likes of Chelsea and Aston Villa and Crystal Palace, because they must have their minds on other competitions like the European ones, because Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, if they go through their respective competitions, they'll be favourites to win it, won't they? So you never know.
Doesn't Ngumoha have to start on Tuesday?
I think he will do, I think Mo will start. I think Ngumoha will start. Probably Ekitike will be through the centre. And then they've got Gakpo and they've got Isak just in case. So the firepower's there now. Whether it's too late in the season, they've got 5 good forwards now, which they probably needed throughout the season, which they haven't had.
What he needs to do, he needs to throw the kitchen sink at PSG, doesn't he?
Florian Wirtz will play as well, you would suggest, wouldn't you?
I think everybody thought, why did he play back? Why was he so defensive? Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure he'll have a go, won't he?
Yeah, have to have a go.
Yeah, you never know.
Go down fighting. That's what Liverpool fans want. Entertainment. All the Liverpool fans know how good PSG is. We all know how good they are, but go down fighting.
And you never know what can happen at Anfield on a European night. For Arne Slot, that game, how much about his future kind of hinges on that game and the outcome, or you don't think so?
More the performance. I don't think anybody expects them to go through. But if they get another goal, they could, because the crowd could get a hold of the game. But I think it's more the manner in which, if they were to go out and the way they finish the season, I think they've been so flat for a while, and I think that's probably what's discouraged. I think a lot of even Liverpool fans, I think he had a lot of credit in the bank after last season, but I just think performance, and again, I don't think it's all on him, by the way. I think the recruitment has put him in this position, but I think if they can find a way to finish the season in 5th, they could salvage it.
Yeah, I don't think losing to PSG, because their European campaign's been good. They qualified in the top 8. They've beaten Galatasaray. Losing to a great PSG team won't determine whether he stays. It's where he finishes in the table. If he finishes 4th, he'll be fine. If he finishes 8th, he won't be fine. It'll be as simple as that, I think, because finances will dictate getting in the Champions League or not, because of Owen said they're going to have to invest again heavily in the summer.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier for Liverpool, does it? But do you feel like this may be a bit of a relief for Arne Slot, this performance today, or do you think he's got his mind straight onto Tuesday's game already?
A bit of both. I think he'll enjoy the moment. You know, like you said there, every time you win, it just takes that little bit of pressure. If you'd lost today, it ends up being one of those, like, where do we go from here? You know, you're in a really difficult predicament. You're getting punched on the nose every single week. I think he'd be delighted with a reaction from his players. He'll be looking at, OK, what's the best team that's going to give us a great chance in midweek? Get the crowd behind you because you know they're going to be a 12th man for you. So I think he'd be delighted, and I think he'd be proud of his team. A couple of players have told him that they really want to play in midweek on Tuesday, like some Mohamed Salah. So they've given himself a chance as well, because I said before the show, before the game, if he doesn't finish in Champions League places, I think it makes it really difficult in terms of his position next season. If he does, it gives Liverpool a problem. And they go, well, oh, what? You have got money in the bank. You won the league for us last year. We won it once in 30-odd years. You've done it in 1 year. So they might go, let's keep him here. So, but if they don't finish in Champions League, I think he makes if they're umming and ahhing on it, I think it will make it go the other way. And obviously with Xabi Alonso in the room. But they're giving themselves a chance. You can see this race here as teams are stumbling. Manchester United have got some tough games to come. Aston Villa, Liverpool. So who knows? But that was a big, big win for them, because what you didn't want as well, we can't see them there. Fulham would have gone 2 points behind them if they'd have beaten them. So it gives them a chance, that's for sure. What
do you think about that, Izzy? Do you think Liverpool stay in the top 5 at the end of the season? He keeps his job?
It's a good question, Peen. It's a difficult one. I think there's a zoom out assessment that needs to be made of where they're at. And, you know, the turnover of players, Liverpool are losing Mohamed Salah and Andy Robertson, so the squad's going to look different. New leaders need to emerge. Recruitment again, you can't shy away from the fact that the recruitment in this season, you know, 450 million was spent on the players they brought in. Of course, unfortunate injury to Alexander Isak, hasn't been able to find his rhythm yet. But I'd look at Wirtz, I'd look at Ekitike, I'd look at Frimpong. They're players that are starting to feel it. So I think it'll be a really interesting one. If they do finish in the Champions League places for next season and, you know, a good account of themselves in Europe, I think the assessment needs to be they need to back him. I do. But I think there needs to be significant improvement in performances, also alongside getting results until the end of the season to make sure they're looking up, not down, in terms of the teams they're playing against. Because Everton, for example, team that, you know, point today against Brentford, chasing Europe, and the Merseyside derby comes at a good time for Everton. He'll have a week to prepare for that, and Liverpool have got a potentially horrible tie against PSG on Tuesday night, where it could be really intense. You know, they go into that game in a Merseyside derby, we know anything can happen. A hungry Everton side, you know, they're going to come hunting for them. So I think it's an interesting context, but I'd be, you know, safe to say, in terms of my opinion on that, I think you need to be really patient in how it gets assessed, because I don't think Liverpool are the type of club to be rash about anything they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're not the type of club to make hasty decisions. And you said at the start of the show, you don't really like talking about the fact that Arne's not under pressure at all, because
I hate it.
If they do go into the top 5,
that's just how we are now. That's just how the game is. The managers can, you know, with no matter where the club, and you always feel with Liverpool, they have given managers, they always give them time. But as I said, I keep reiterating it, that, you know, Xabi Alonso is a manager that a lot of fans would probably like to see. But I feel that for Arne, he hasn't perhaps had, like Izzy just said, the opportunity to work with all of the players that he's brought in. And what if they were to make a change, somebody's going to get really lucky with this group. Now, yes, they need a bit more energy brought into the team, and how they're going to play going forward is going to be interesting. But there are a lot of quality players, and I think if you look at that 52-point mark, if Alexander Isak would have been fit, you could have guaranteed there'd be a lot more points on the table, because he would have given you a lot more goals. Ekitike got injured as well. He's been in and out of the team. So there are problems with the team, but there are also things to look at. And if you were a manager or an opportunity looking from the outside in, going, tell you what, then there's still some really good players. You know, players haven't hit the heights. Virgil van Dijk, big fan, been unbelievable. This year hasn't hit the heights. Mohamed Salah hasn't hit the heights this season. So a lot of players haven't gone and played to the level that they can do. So that's been the difficulty for Arne Slot. And at times he's took a little bit of stick, and his honesty has obviously provoked a lot of conversation with people. But I still think he's a very, very good manager, and also deserves a lot of respect.
Andy, Rio, congratulations. Rio first, I think. We'll talk about your goal in a minute. But that was needed, wasn't it, tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I think coming back to Anfield and getting the 3 points, it's a good feeling, a great feeling, and the atmosphere was great again. So yeah, positive day.
And the goal?
Oh yeah, it was a special goal. Robin made the overlap. But he created space for me, then I just cut inside and just aim for the corner.
Special goal, special celebration. Are you going to do it before you leave Anfield, the scuba?
Absolutely not. We'll be having words about that in the change room. Nah, look, he was unbelievable. Just shows you sometimes don't listen to the experienced players. I'm screaming at him to say that I'm coming on the overlap, and then he just goes and cuts inside. So it was a great finish from him, great performance by him, and look, he just keeps learning, he keeps listening. He's such a good kid. I won't tell him that to only in the cameras, not to his face. But him and Trey are honestly they're a pleasure to work with, and they just listen to all the lads, and you can see them improving all the time. And he's got a big future ahead of him, but the here and now is pretty good as well.
And that's just it, isn't it? A special night for him, special night for you, because there are not many of these games left now for you at Anfield. So how are you after all that?
Yeah, look, obviously, I knew my probably song would get sung a couple of times.
At the start and the end.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Look, it's like this club means everything to me. That's it's a fact. I've been here 9 years of growing into, I was a boy one time. He might not believe me, but I was young one time, and now I became a man here. And look, this club's made me who I am today, so I owe them a lot. And look, I'm just going to try and enjoy and embrace every minute I'm at this football club. And when I get the start, then I just try and enjoy it. And thankfully the win was the most important, and a clean sheet nice to go along with it.
And you have dreams and ambitions as well, and it can make you the player that you want to be being here, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think Liverpool, for me, the biggest club in the world, and to start so young and the manager having belief in me and all the players, it's great. So just got to keep working hard and keep pushing on and just go again.
More scuba celebrations then?
Yeah, hopefully.
Andy, would you like to do the honours? Look at that look.
Well done.
Not will he be doing that, and in fact they'll be having words about that in the changing room. You don't care about that celebration. You think...
I don't like it.
You said it doesn't matter, he can do whatever he wants.
But he can do whatever he wants when you win the game and do that, and it's his first goal, so his first goal at Anfield, so you'd forgive him that little moment of enjoyment. He's as Robbo said, he's a really nice kid, wants to learn, wants to improve, wants to be better, wants to be a star at Liverpool, and he's going the right way. And hopefully there's going to be many, many more moments like that, without that celebration, of course.
It was quite some way to score your first ever goal at Anfield.
To be fair, I've seen him score 3 or 4, and they're all worldies. So I don't think he does basic goals. I mean, he's just a brilliant footballer, technically. Every time he gets it, he just runs straight at you. And every defender just scared for their life because this kid is too sharp. He shifts the ball back really well, doesn't he? And he gets people off balance, a little chop there.
Yeah.
And with his low centre of gravity and his speed, I don't think you can really stop him 1v1. That's why I think you've got to get more bodies over, don't you, Maka?
He just needs a little bit of help, but once he cuts inside and then goes back onto his left foot, as Owen said, he's got a low centre of gravity and his movement's really sharp and really quick, so he can go left, he can go right, and then to finish it off like that was brilliant. I think Andy Robertson's really good for him to play behind. Just gives him the ball and just supports him. He doesn't go running past them all the time and causing problems. He knows how good this kid is one-on-one. Just give him the ball, support him, and let him do the business, and he certainly did that today.
The youngest ever Premier League goal scorer at Anfield, and he is in some elite company. We did petition to extend this list because I know you were only 19 when you scored your first league goal, but 17 years old and breaking Raheem Sterling's 13-year record. Very, very special, isn't it? And we remember him scoring the winner against Newcastle early on in the season, so it just shows you, doesn't it? He scored at 16, 17, so, the sky's the limit for him as a 17-year-old. He's very special. You don't normally see 17-year-olds come to the fore and excite as much as you do. Of course, we've got the ultimate over playing for Barcelona, but he's certainly making a name for himself at Liverpool, and he's the man of the match at 17 years of age, and that's a really important moment for him today. Yeah, the goal will make the headlines, but overall, as you said, player of the match, the bright spark for Liverpool today, Owen. Literally, just get the kid the ball and get out the way. The kid just runs at you. And he tortures defenders. I love it. He said, the reporter asked him a question. He said, I saw Robertson on the overlap and I just cut inside and put it in the corner. He doesn't complicate the game. Didn't he, Maka? He's just like, he gets it and he runs straight at you. Andy Robertson helps him out there, creates a little bit of space for him. And that's exactly what a good left-back should do. If you're a left-back and you know that your left winger is beating
the right back, every single time he runs at him, you just stay out the way, as Owen said, and then you support, and then you run past him to make space. And I thought they linked up really, really well, and that's the nice thing. He's got an experienced pro behind him, helping, talking to him, moving people out the way and letting them do the business. And it was no coincidence today that Rio Ngumoha was fantastic and it was Andy Robertson behind. That's why I think, and I've said on numerous occasions, he should have played more. And I'm really sad that Andy Robertson's leaving as a 32-year-old. I think he's still got many more years ahead of him. And to help people like this, like him out, and Kirkes, to help them out and talk them through games and how to play and how to position themselves on the pitch.
We'll talk about Robertson a little bit more. During that run we just showed, Mo Salah's goal was in the middle there. Let's take a closer look at it and just go through it, because obviously hugely emotional day for him, and to get on the score sheet will mean so much.
Yeah, but I think it's really good ball from Wirtz, gets it into Ngumoha really quickly. And the thing is well, he just shifts the ball so quickly. So I think defenders are absolutely frightened of him. Gakpo does brilliantly. The weight to the pass from Gakpo is really important. But I love how positive Rio was, just running straight at people. That's great. And I think having wingers that can beat people and then commit players, it makes space for others, doesn't it, Maka?
Yeah. Him cutting inside, Robertson going away. You see the 21, Castagna moving away, creating a little bit more space for Liverpool to operate in. But that's just typical Mo Salah. Using Robinson's body. Leno can't see the ball fully until it's too late, and it's curling into that far corner.
Mo Salah didn't start and didn't feature in midweek. You know, that was the first game really since making his announcement. At Anfield today, he started and then showed, you know, what he is capable of. There isn't a huge emotional element to it. We saw it before the game and we saw it at the end as well. How important will it be for him to kind of end the season on a high, to score a couple more goals?
I mean, that goes without saying. It's important for him to score on Tuesday. I think he should play on Tuesday. I think he should have played the other day. When Liverpool dropped into a 5, I thought they lacked any lacking forward intent against Paris Saint-Germain, and they need goals, so he should play. So you want him to keep on scoring. You want him to finish the season on a high. You want him to score another 10 goals, because that means Liverpool will finish in the Champions League spot. The 2 points behind Villa. I know Aston Villa have got a game tomorrow, but instead of looking behind, you should be thinking, right, we're going to catch Aston Villa, and then we want to catch Manchester United, and you want to climb up that table, so to make it as more secure as possible, because that's all that matters. They're not going to be successful in the league this year, but they can finish in the top 5 and get into the Champions League, which is paramount next year if you want to attract the right type of players.
Mo Salah and Andy Robertson announcing that they're leaving will obviously want to make sure that they leave the club at least in the Champions League positions. These were the scenes at full time. Big emotion there. Not only legends of the club, not only the calibre of players, but also leadership leaving.
Look, it's one of the most important things in any football club. You've got mentors, you've got leaders. You know, I was fortunate to be around some big ones. These guys have had a huge impact on this club. And you can go and sign loads of players all you like, and really young lads, but they don't understand the culture. You know, I think at Man United lost about 10 of them in 2 or 3 years, and actually they had, you know, it costs them dearly. You can buy a lot of players, but you can't buy leadership. Back I mentioned before, Henderson, Milner, Robertson, Mo Salah, Van Dijk is probably the only one left with Alisson, and that is they're going to have to find a way to replace these leaders, because they don't come like they do.
I think that's a really important thing, that having the ethos of the club in your team. And as Owen rightly said about Manchester United losing it, Liverpool are going to lose it very soon. You know, the likes of Firmino, the Manes, they've all gone. They knew what Liverpool was about. Then it was down to Henderson and Milner, and then these fellas, and these are all going. So someone has to take up that mantle and know what it's like to play for Liverpool and know what it means to play for Liverpool.
Talked a lot about Liverpool in the post-Salah and Robertson era. What do you think happens to the two of them? Salah, for example, do you think he still goes to a top European club?
He's only 33. You know, I think you look at what Cristiano and Messi are doing, and he's in incredible shape, Mo Salah. Obviously, I think the one different, you look at Rio and Ngumoha and Mo Salah, and, you know, Father Time is undefeated in any sport. You know, athletes get older and they lose a little bit of that athleticism, that speed, and Mo's probably lost a little bit of that this season. So maybe he just comes and plays a little bit more central, Maka. You know, maybe not play wide where you get into these 1v1s and you got loads tracking back. I'd love to see him play a little bit closer to the box so he doesn't have to run back as much, because in front of the goal, he's lethal. I think Mo will be at the top for another 4 or 5 years.
What's your feeling?
Yeah, I mean, when I've spoken to him, he always maintained that he wants to play at the highest level for as long as possible and break records. I mean, the records will end. Certainly Liverpool records will end. They'll have to start again. He could play wherever he wanted to play. He could play in Italy. You could suggest he could go and play for a Milan or a Roma, or I know he's played at Roma in the past, but it all depends on what he wants. You know, he's very, very highly paid. You know, we all know commercially he can receive whatever he wants to receive. So money's not an issue. It's just what he wants to do with his family, whether he wants to play in MLS and experience that type of lifestyle, whether he wants to go and play in Saudi Arabia. I don't think necessarily money will dictate anything. It's probably lifestyle and how long he wants to carry on for. If he just wants to carry on for another 2 years, so be it. But if he wants to play like Cristiano at the age of 40, well, then he has to pick and choose the right place and the right style of football and how easy it's going to be on his body. So we'll wait and see, but he deserves wherever he wants to play, I tell you that.
Owen, do you think the same is true for Andy Robertson?
Yeah, I think Andy will play. I think somebody will pick him up. It'd be interesting just if he wants to maybe go abroad. You know, maybe does he want to go to Spain? I could see him playing for like Atletico Madrid.
There was a rumour about Atletico Madrid, wasn't there?
I'm sure Simeone would love him. You know, he's got a brilliant personality. Andy Robertson, you know, he gets up and down. He's a super disciplined. And again, assist-wise, he's been one of the best we've ever seen in this league. So again, I think a lot of it is the boys will have loads of options. It's about finding otherwise, league-wise, but they've been brilliant servants to the football club.
I'm sure they will wait until those 6 Premier League games with Liverpool are done before announcing anything and perhaps deciding anything. Who knows what is to come? What we do know is that they've helped Liverpool return to winning ways today. Yeah. Hugely important victory on a slot, and we'd said before, under a lot of pressure. How much does this help ease that?
Hugely. Speaking to people since the Champions League defeat, everybody was worried about today because of the toll that Manchester City, PSG, and then this Fulham game, and Fulham, as you said before, are in good form. This was potentially a really difficult game, and Liverpool navigated it very, very comfortably. So I think it'll be a huge relief for the manager. There's no negative questions today. They've won 2-0, clean sheet, Mo scored, Rio scored. Everything looks forward now to PSG, what will potentially be a difficult game, of course it will be. But there's no negativity after today's game. It's all positivity, and it's all, you know, trying to get a lot of goodwill, get the crowd behind you, and let's see what they can do against the European champions on Tuesday evening.
Yeah, big victory for Liverpool. Just your thoughts on the pressure on Arne Slot and whether that's eased?
Yeah, but he knows that, Arne. You know, he's at one of the biggest clubs in the world, obviously. Did a brilliant job last season. I do think the recruitment kind of...
There for Rio Ngumoha, and it's someone that you know really well, and you saw potential in him so early on.
Yeah, well, the potential was so obvious. Everybody could see it, Peen. He just had that sort of natural X factor. And he was at Chelsea at the same sort of time as my younger son, and they used to train together in the same group. And it was quite staggering to see so quickly. His brother, who played a big part in his career, certainly his development, he used to do a lot of one-on-one coaching with him. And he came over to my house a few times, and I just watched how he worked with Rio. And I've never seen a kid with such fast feet. But it was repetition after repetition. And we speak so much now about a lot of these players don't just perhaps get enough training at their own clubs. They do it with one-on-one coaches. And there'd be probably nobody better, or nobody knows him better than his older brother. So they worked extremely well together. Big decision. For anyone that doesn't know his sort of journey, he was one of the very highly regarded players at Chelsea. They loved him, wanted to keep him. Liverpool came in and he left at 16 years of age to go up there, and must have been really hard for him, and it probably took a little while to settle. His first year in the academy didn't go perhaps to plan. And then this year he sort of forced his way in with the first team squad, and now you can see it, the goal against Newcastle, the goal today. He's thriving, he's enjoying it, and it is a great environment. It's a tough environment. I did it myself as a 17-year-old when I signed for Liverpool, and you know, I'm thankful for every day that I did it. And I'm sure Rio, like he said it himself there, he's doing extremely well. Got to keep his head on his shoulders, keep working hard. Got great experienced players like Andy Robertson around him. So I'm delighted. He's a really good young man, and it's amazing like to see him. I've known him since he was 7, and you see him now doing interviews. It makes you feel a bit old, Pete, if I'm honest. But no, I'm delighted.
When you look at how important this game was for Liverpool in terms of the fact that they needed a reaction, to be able to score a goal like Rio Ngumoha did at 17 years old when he knows the weight of this game as well.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, Arne Slot didn't put him into the team as a token. He's clearly in the team because he's earned the right to do so. And, you know, he's had sprinklings of minutes this season. But to get your Premier League start at Anfield, it's a big nod. And we can have a look at his goal.
We
can have a look at it, Jamie, can't we? Because no, honestly, after you, it's your ball. You go for it.
I did it at half time.
The plan was you do it. You do it.
Okay, well that's fine. You can see it here. This is an area where I think now there'll be right backs throughout the Premier League thinking, I don't want this guy to get into the box against me as quickly as you can. When you see he's got safety in numbers there, I don't want to talk about what they could have done because let's enjoy the goal. But if Castagna gets tighter and you don't let him get into the box, it might help. And I think that's what people will probably try to do against him. Once that ball comes to Rio here, his first thought is, can I get into the box? Right, now I'm in there. Just take that back. This is what I'm talking about, Walder Cone work that he used to do with his brother. Step overs, and he'd just send you, and his body would go one way and then the other, then he'd chop it back on you, and then all of a sudden he's got that tremendous right foot. We saw it against Newcastle early in the year. And I'll just take that, just want to go slowly with it. Now go quickly to start, because he does great. And Castagna just can't live with him. It's absolutely brilliant. Anderson then tries to help him. And once he gets in this position, now he's got him. And you can see you've got two coming across. Normally, you might say to Anderson, can you get out and stop the block? He thinks he's got a good angle because as he cuts inside to there, now he's going to shift it again. And you can see that he's got his legs across, which is obviously you're in big trouble as a defender when that happens. They always say, try and keep your feet parallel. He doesn't. Now Rio knows, I've got it onto my favoured right foot. And then he whips that in with tremendous pace. A beautiful finish, absolutely brilliant. And I think for him, right now, it's such a great opportunity to just keep learning. He's got one of the greats in Mohamed Salah. Now, he's going to be leaving the club in the summer. Sit next to him every day at lunch. Learn, watch him in the gym, how he looks after himself, how he conducts himself, how he scored so many goals doing just that. And try to extract as much as you can from Mohamed Salah because he's not going to be there for long. But I'm really pleased for Rio. I'm not sure about the celebration.
You're going to have to tell me about it because I don't know.
It's called the scuba or something. I don't know. But listen,
Andy
he can
Robertson
do it.
wasn't having it, was he?
No. And it's nice. I was born in 1973, so he wanted to wear that number.
You must have a big back garden, Jamie.
No, it wasn't. It was tiny. No, it wasn't like that, honestly. It was a long time ago. But it's great to see. And, you know, everyone, the fans, he was what they needed today. You mentioned at half-time, he could give everyone a lift,
Yeah,
didn't
he needed to give a lift. And like I said, it was a feather in his cap, you know, to get the nod from his manager at a time where the pressure was on. I thought that the way that Fulham played in the game kind of helped Liverpool in terms of gaining that momentum and finding that creative flow. But it's a super goal from a young player who's he'll enjoy tonight.
Did you enjoy his performance today?
It's the right amount of time. I think Slot brought him off at the right time. Good exposure, excellent finish like you've just described. And it was a perfect day for him. And we can see more clips of him here, can't we?
I was going to say, it wasn't just his goal that he made an impact, his overall play, which earned him the Player of the Match award, Jamie.
Yeah, no fear. I think that was the thing, Peen. And Izzy and I were talking before the game. The fact that you played him just gives some, because sometimes with the senior players things aren't going that well. He probably doesn't listen to the noise and everything that's around it, you know. And he really enjoyed this battle with Castagna. It was excellent. We seen it with Max Dowman a few weeks ago when he came in against Everton. Young players just need a chance sometime. You just need to be thrown into the deep end and see how they handle it. And as long as they've got the quality and they've got that personality, which Rio certainly has, you know, those things can really come of age. And, you know, I think that's where sometimes some managers are scared to do that. Just drop young players in, give them a chance.
Slot felt like he had enough padding around him in terms of, he spoke before the game to Juliet about the experience in the team. You know, we spoke about Mo Salah, the Szoboszlais, the Andy Robertsons, the Van Dijks, giving him that layer of security around him to go and be free. And as much as, you know, the older players will bail him out a lot of the time, there was a moment in the game before his goal that you highlighted, Jamie. I know we haven't got it, but Szoboszlai having a go at him for not tracking his runner. And those are the details. And you have to be able to withstand that pressure to then go and create moments like he did. And this is him exiting the field, you know, most touches inside the box in the game. That says everything.
Has this given Arne Slot something to think about then against PSG?
Well, I would say that it gives you a great option from the bench. That was what I'll be looking. I think that will happen. You don't know. Who knows? I'm not picking the team, but I would guess.
You don't think he deserves a start after this?
Yeah, if he did start him, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just think right now, when I'm trying to pick Liverpool's best team for a huge game, I like the midfield they ended up with. You know, with McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai. I think that's a midfield that's got a bit of everything. That was the midfield that pretty much won the league last year for Liverpool. And I think it might be a game for You know, if Ekitike starts at the 9, then you might need Wirtz on the left-hand side, and then obviously Salah, who did really well today on that right side. That feels like it has a nice shape to it, and just obviously reminiscent a bit of last year. Obviously with Ekitike, you've got Isak to come off the bench if you need him, and then you've got Rio to come off the bench and give you a bit of X factor. Because if you can stay in the game, you've not got to win the game in the first 20 minutes, but you can certainly lose it. But it might be one where you get those two players on towards the end that might just be able to nick you a goal, lift the crowd. So I would be surprised if he started, but I guarantee you he will get some really valuable minutes in that game. But delighted for him. He couldn't have done any more, certainly to push himself for a start. So if he did, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I'm sure Mo Salah will be hoping for a start in midweek as well, because he also got involved in the goals and he needed a big performance, and he did just that today, is he?
Yeah, and I think that, you know, obviously, with him leaving at the end of the season, Jamie spoke about it before the game, you know, the impact that he's had. We can't forget, we can't measure him on this season of what he's done in the last however many years at Liverpool. But I think just this goal here just epitomises the quality that he's got in the box. But before we get to the goal, this man here, I thought today was excellent. Wirtz. He played in the 10, and he can play out wide, like Jamie said. You know, he potentially can play wide coming in. But I think in the game today, simple and effective, the way he played. And I thought he was super effective. And just highlight here, this is in the build-up to the goal. He's already looking because he knows the ball is going to come back to him. And we'll just watch it through now. He's scanning to see where his next pass is. Just pause it here. Gakpo cuts it back on an angle. Wirtz, he's still scanning. You can see him. He wants to get the ball out to Ngumoha because he knows 1v1, he's got Castagna. So the fact that he adjusts his position, he comes against the flow of the attack a little bit. He knows where he wants to play, and for me, this is the best midfield play, simple and effective.
And how important is it? Just pause it there. That once he gets that first touch, that he then gets it out to Rio. It doesn't take too many touches.
Spot on, Jamie. You'll know it. The importance of just keeping it simple. In, first touch, bang, out, 1v1, perfect. We just pause it here and we just rewind it back again. We spoke about Andy Robertson, and I think there's a reason they asked him to do the interview with Ngumoha, partly because of this. You can just see here, this is what he does best, and he knows the timing of it. We know Andy Robertson is an overlapping fullback. He's a fullback that wants to get forward, but just the timing of when he arrives, I think what's brought him so much success in a Liverpool shirt over the years. Just pause it there. He just takes Castagna away. Here now, Castagna's responsibility is Robertson. It means the centre-back in Anderson has to jump out and address Ngumoha inside the box. The spare player for Liverpool in the attack is the guy who scores. It's Mo Salah at the back post, because the whole back four has had to shift and be aware. Bassey's locked on to Gakpo, and Ngumoha, again, in exactly the same position as his goal. He now gets the defender, this time Anderson, 1v1. And because he's patient and he waits, he then creates this moment here. First touch from Gakpo is excellent, and then it's your spare player at the back post. If we just have a little look now. And this is what Liverpool did really well in the game, and it must have been a tactic in the game to play right to left back inside, because I think what they did to Fulham's backline the whole game was they wanted to feed Ngumoha and Salah, and I thought they found really good flow in the game to be able to do that. And you can just see Salah at the top of the screen, in a position where how many times have we seen him score from here in a Liverpool shirt? And I know, Jamie, you've got some terrific detail on.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well,
I think it's
for a change.
I think what it was is, I think the first touch here, and I think what's so important from when Gakpo receives that ball and he gets it into a good area, it's a great first touch. Now, what has to happen is if he plays that ball, as an example, to him here, that would then suggest you've got a one-on-one. But what he does is he plays it more at this angle. So that is inviting Mohamed Salah then to come onto it with his left foot, knowing that the goalkeeper's having a little peek already, Leno. And it's not the cleanest of sets, I must admit. It bobbles into him, which makes the finish actually more remarkable. But the set is absolutely ideal, because he's saying to him, there you go, you can shoot with this. Look, it just gets it across to him and opens up that angle nicely for him, because this is Mohamed Salah's food and drink, the best at it. And he obviously uses the defender there and just bends it into that corner. Now, you could say the keeper maybe can do better, but I think you have to really acknowledge how good that pass and that set, the set and the finish is as well.
And it was lovely to see this at full time as well, wasn't it, Izzy? Mo Salah applauding the fans, and the fans applauding him back as well after the news that he's going to be leaving the club at the end of the season.
Well, former Evertonian and Manchester City player, I didn't really enjoy it, but no, I mean, it's fantastic. And I think that Jamie just said it there around feeling those moments, and a goal at Anfield in a game where there was pressure coming into the game, just to get the job done. Himself on the score sheet, he'll be well up for it against PSG in the midweek.
Yeah, and Andy Robertson now. Just see Andy behind him now. If you talk about value for money,
I see him at his best to finish the season as strong as possible.
Jamie, how much of a boost can this give Mo Salah as well now for the final couple of games?
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the stat at the bottom. Really jumps to me. They said most tackles, this season for Liverpool, with 4. And look, it's not his game, but what it does is that everyone has to give a little bit more right now. They're struggling. It hasn't been fluent. It hasn't been the Liverpool that we expected it to be. So that's where you've got to actually become a bit of a different player. And if you haven't got it, go and chase it, win it back. It's not rocket science. And when someone like that's doing it, everyone else buys into it. Now, Szoboszlai must have won the ball back 7 or 8 times today by just going to chase it, getting after people. It becomes contagious. And that's what you need. Then Salah starts to do it. So they're going to have to do that midweek. It's going to be extremely hard against the brilliant PSG side. But you never know. Stranger things have happened at Anfield. We've seen it for many years. There is something very magical about that place, certainly in a night game in the Champions League. So, of course, PSG are massive favourites, but you never know.
Yeah, a really big week for Liverpool coming up. But Izzy, where did you see the improvements for Liverpool tonight?
Well, we saw some moments in the game that you thought a little bit more like Liverpool. And I think that this is a game where it was a fairly routine fixture for them in terms of the pressure they came into the game under in the middle of the PSG quarter-final tie. And I think that the way Fulham played into Liverpool's hands a lot, but you've still got to find that bite and that energy and that creativity about them. And there were moments in this game where you thought Liverpool look a little bit more like themselves. Feeding the ball out wide, like we've spoken about where the goals came from. I thought Wirtz, like I said, feeding the fullbacks, getting the fullbacks high. This was early on in the game, and I don't know about you, Jamie, but fullback to fullback is a very Liverpool move.
Yeah.
And getting your
you
fullbacks
think about
high,
Trent and Robertson,
aggressive,
don't you? Yeah, exactly that.
High and aggressive, and I just thought they looked like a bit more connected. Look, Frimpong running off Salah, and that's where Liverpool fans are probably starting to see that relationship evolve. And it's going to be short, that relationship between Frimpong and Salah, different ends of their Liverpool careers, but they're finding a connection at an important time in the season. And again now runs off Frimpong again using the space. Salah feeds him, beautiful way to pass, and this could have been a different story with Gakpo. I think he thinks that Anderson's maybe going to make contact with the ball again. Frimpong getting high, Salah being the widest player. I just think that, and then look at that from Wirtz. Beautiful weight of pass, creates that moment inside the box. Could have been different on a different day, but it just looked to be so much more energy about them, didn't it, James?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you said there, McAllister coming on as well. Need to see a little bit more from him. But there were good moments, but there was a bit of intent there. The other side of it was obviously that Fulham also had moments, and that's the one thing. Give up chances, they look like they're susceptible from any set piece that comes into the box. That's something they have to be really aware of because they are so open. In that first half, they had Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones in there in midfield. Now, if you put an idea, they are both attacking players, so they are naturally going to always think if the ball drops there, I might be able to land on it and shoot. They don't think if the ball lands there, I'm going to get myself in a position defensively to make sure that I'm just going to protect that back four. So they have a different mindset. But when Gravenberch comes into that area, he does think slightly more defensively, although still he has very attacking aspects to his game. But no, I think it was a really positive one. They had to bounce back. There was no way they could have gone into that PSG game on the back of a loss today. The crowd, the connection, you've got to get that back together. So, yeah, it was a huge result for them. I think Fulham's perspective, they'll probably think there was a chance missed today because Liverpool were there to be taken, but they didn't take up enough opportunities.
We'll get on to Fulham shortly, but Izzy, what does this say about the mentality of the players to put in a performance like this after recent results?
I think sometimes you have no other choice. The games come thick and fast. You spend all season, a club like Liverpool, striving to be in Europe for the following season, and then you can't complain then about the games coming 70 hours after your midweek fixture. You want to play these games,
absolutely.
Right? And that's why you use your depth. There was 5 changes made into that Liverpool starting 11 for today, that were rested from the midweek Champions League fixture, and I thought it worked. And it's finding the balance, and that's why you have a squad that competes. You look at the depth of Arsenal's squad, and you look at the changes they made today, and they're still, obviously they didn't get the result, but they're still, you look to that 11 that Arsenal put out and you go, wow. Same with Liverpool, obviously, and Ngumoha, the young player that we've spoken about, getting the opportunity. But for me, there's no choice.
No, that's right.
You have to step up, show your teeth, show what you're made of, and do your job, and that's what the Liverpool players did today.
And having Isak back as well, you know, he came on for 20 and he actually looked sharp. It's obviously going to take a little bit of time. Had a horrendous injury. The season has not gone his way, but there's no reason why he can't have a big impact for these last few games. You know, if it's for half an hour in midweek, you know, there's obviously league games, he's going to want to finish on a high and then make sure he has a great pre-season and comes back flying for next year. So to have him back, and then you've got Ekitike and players like that that can make a difference, they have got a lot of options going forward.